Hello everyone. I finally finished the quilt, so this is the quilt reveal video. I've been working on this. I found a slip of paper the other day and I've been working on this quilt for 6 years, 2021. So about a month ago I thought to myself, this is ridiculous. I'm putting away everything else I'm working on and I'm just concentrating on the quilt. And so I did that, even though it was hard to put everything else away. And I just worked solidly on quilting the quilt for about the past month. So make sure you stay to the end because I'm going to share with you the mistakes I made on making this quilt so you don't have to make them. Yeah, so, well, let's have a look at it. This is the back of the quilt, the wrong side of the quilt. So I'll just show you some of the little images I did. I handmade the binding. All that binding would have been very expensive to buy in the shop. And the object of the quilt was to be, you know, not too expensive. Though it has cost me a bit of money, which I'll tell you about soon. And that's the intricate mandala that was the bane of my existence. Then I went simple. So anyway, that's the back of the quilt. Now we'll flip her over and show the actual quilt, front of the quilt. A colour extravaganza. Yeah, I made it reversible so I could have it either way. You know, back side up or front side up. That was the plan. Yes, I'm really happy with the way it's turned out. Yeah, beautiful quilt. Yeah, so how I made it was, I was at a market and she was selling quilt in a box. A quilt in a box for $20. Old shop stock. And $20, that's a fair bit of money for me at any time. She had 2 boxes, so I splurged and I bought 2. So then I had 2 quilt in the boxes. Then I took out the fabric that was in fat quarters and I washed it and ironed it. This in box 1. I washed and ironed it. It said it'd make a queen size quilt. And then I cut it all up into triangles. And then put 2 triangles together in contrasting or similar material, whatever I thought would suit. And then I've had no training as a quilt maker. I was just going for it. I am a trained seamstress, but I hadn't made a quilt before. Yeah, so, and then I sewed the 2 triangles together, like that, 1, 2. And then I sewed, now, I may as well tell you the first mistake. I didn't iron those 2 flat. And then I sewed them up to the next 2 that I hadn't ironed flat. And then I made what's called the block. And then just a matter of sewing all the blocks together. But I didn't realise when I first started by not ironing them flat, it causes problems when they're all joined together and they don't sit right. So as soon as I realised that, I started ironing them flat. But by then I'd made several of the blocks, and you couldn't easily unmake them. So I just thought I'll just put them to the edge of the quilt where no one will notice them. So then I laid it on the bed when I'd made the whole quilt in a box, and then it only just covered light up to there, and I wanted a quilt that went over the sides of the bed. So then I had to open up the second quilt in the box, go through the whole process again, wash, iron, cut, triangles, sew, but this time I'd learnt my lesson and I ironed each couple of triangles as I went, ironed out the seams. So make sure you do that. And then I had, with the 2 boxes in a quilt, I had enough to make a quilt that hangs down a bit over the bed. So other mistakes I made, we may as well get to it. Just let me get my glasses on. The second mistake I made was with the wadding, in the middle. It was cut in several pieces, to fit. And what I should have done is sew in those pieces together, but instead I pinned them. And then when I was hand quilting the quilt, I ran into troubles here and there of a pin. Let me get comfortable. A pin stuck in there and having to unpick and get that pin out. And also the wadding shifted a little. It's only about that much, but it's not actually joined together down the centre of the quilt. It doesn't really worry me, my first quilt, but make sure you just hand sew, great big stitches, doesn't matter, the wadding together if you want the perfect quilt. Don't do too intricate sewing when you're hand quilting the quilt, because that mandala I pointed out to you was a real nightmare and took about 2 months to do, and hence why my quilting was taking so long all those years, because it disheartened me, that long intricate mandala. But actually when I started hand quilting the quilt with simple shapes like I showed you on the back, like a house or a face, I could do 2 easy in one day. I could quilt 2 different pictures. So once I started doing the simple ones, and I think they look more effective than nice simple pictures anyway. So I was limited by my ability to draw, which is pretty childish. So hang on, I'll just get a pillow. Not comfortable here. Let's get comfortable. That's better. On my comfy quilt. Yeah, I was limited by my ability to draw because I never progressed much past stick figures for whatever reason. So I had to stick to simple shapes like flowers, love hearts, houses, trees, that kind of thing, faces. I can do them good. But anyway, I like the childish style, so that suits me just fine. I'm always attracted to childish artwork, done by adults, of course. There's just something about it that really takes me back to my childhood, I suppose, and I really like it. So childish is good. So next, yeah, if you got the money, spend the extra money on good bamboo wadding, or, you know, the more expensive wadding, whatever you want. I bought the cheap as chips stuff because I'm always trying to save money. So all up, the quilt has cost me the $40 for the two quilts in a box. I think I paid about $30 for the cheap wadding. So then we're up to 70. I paid about $20 for a king size sheet, which is the back of the quilt. You have to buy new. You can't put an old sheet on a new quilt. As you know, that wouldn't be good. You want it all to wear evenly. And the other thing is do a good seam. Because if you don't do a good, like, 1 centimeter seam and make sure all your seams are like that width, if you do it too thin, the quilt's going to pull apart over time, and the last thing you want is your quilt coming apart because you put so much time and money into that quilt, which is going to be a family heirloom. You do not want it coming apart at the seams, as the old saying goes. So yeah, I gave all my triangle pieces, even though you're losing extra yardage in your fabric and that. I don't care. I want a good solid seam. I want this quilt to last, you know. That's 100 years or more. Yeah, so this quilt is sewed together so well, it is not going to come apart. It is going to be a laster. Yeah, so happy about that. It's really good quality. Yeah, so what was I up to with the pricing? 70 plus, say, $20 for a king size sheet. That's 90. Then I bought Good Quilters cotton for sewing it, because you don't want to put cheap cotton into this fabulous quilt that you took 6 years of your life making and spent $100 on, because let's say I spent $10 on the thread. Yeah, so, and then the binding, I just found some material in my stash, and I cut it to 23 centimeter widths, and then I folded it in half, and then brought the ends in. You know how you do to make binding, and then I just sewed it around the quilt. So I'm really happy about that too. The binding costs nothing. So I've got a beautiful heirloom quilt for $100. Made a few mistakes, but hey, the next quilt I won't be making them again. You live and you learn. And yeah, so now just before I go, one more last look at the marvellous quilt to finish off. The quilt, I'm so happy with it. It's a beautiful thing. It's a really beautiful thing. Solid, well made, gonna last. Gonna be handed down to one of my children. Who will be the lucky one? 4 to choose from. And then they can hand it down to the grandchildren after that. Maybe even the great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren. I expect it to last. Not like the modern stuff. It's not going to fall apart in the wash. Yeah, so my aim was to have it made by winter, like a month ago when I said this is getting ridiculous. And I was like, that's going to be on the bed by winter. Well, guess what? It's only like January 7th, 8th or something, 2026, middle of summer. So it's going to go on my lounge so I can just look at it and admire it every day. And then as the weather starts getting cold, it's going on the bed. Yeah, so thanks for staying to the end. Like and subscribe. I'm always putting up new videos about what's going on in my neck of the woods with the children, the grandchildren, parties, craft. Yeah, thanks a lot and see you next time. Bye-bye.